Welcome to the Hot Mess Medium Show. I am your host, Natasha Mack, your small-town, international, evidential psychic medium. I am your favorite, highly sensitive human with ADHD, your intuition and mediumship mentor, and I'm a hot mess mama of four who happens to speak to the dead for a living. I get super lit up and excited when it comes to stories where you're like, you cannot make this shit up. I'm talking about divine orchestration, experiences with past loved ones, all things intuition, angels, and being a highly sensitive human. In my world, we laugh together, we cry together, and we keep it super real. I am so excited you're here. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Hot Mess Medium Show. It has been quite some time since I have shared a new episode, so I'm really excited to be recording this right now. I'm recording from my truck. It's a beautiful day outside. I just finished dropping my kids off at school, and the inspiration just kind of came to me. And so I felt like this was the perfect time. It also just so happens that I poured my coffee in a thermos before dropping the kids off, so I have that with me. And it just, even though it feels kind of, messy to be doing things this way, I haven't even had water or breakfast yet. I'm still in my jammies. Not that you guys can see that, but I'm just, butterfly. I'm just, being real with you guys. So even though it feels a little bit messy, it's all good. We're just going to go with the flow, because if I try to plan it out, I'm just going to keep putting it off. So we got to do it while we can. So for this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you a life update, because I feel like that is necessary. And of course, I'm going to be channeling. I'm going to be sharing with you the messages coming through for the month of June for you all, because we are at June 4th right now. Still brand new month. Really excited to get into those for you. It's been quite some time since I've, done an episode where I've just channeled, the energy that's sort of present, how it can affect you, and what sort of messages are coming through that could be supportive for you as you navigate those energies and as you are moving on through the month. The other thing I want to mention super quick, though, is that if you are listening to this and it's no longer June, that's okay. I want you to trust that you're still meant to receive something from this, because I believe these messages are timeless. So let's start with a life update, because I feel like once I just start talking, it's all just going to flow, and then I can just sort of organically get into the channeled messages. So since the last episode, a lot has happened in my life, and it's just been a lot. But I finally feel like I'm kind of on the other side of that whole portal / shitstorm that I went through. So here we are. So I guess I'll start by saying that, in case you didn't know, I've had this cancer in my eyelid since about 2021. I discovered the lump on my eyelid back in November of 2021. And then the lump just kind of continued to grow for about a year before I finally got it removed. And meanwhile, I tried all the things. We thought it could be a sty. We thought it could be a chalazion. However you say that. We thought it could be, just some weird infection. And then it, the doctors, a specialist, decided it was just a boring old cyst. So I was seeing specialists. I was seeing the doctor. This wasn't something that I was ignoring. I literally tried everything. I remember, I think it's called plantain. Not like those, not like the banana looking fruit or whatever. It's this plant that just kind of grows in grass. Anyways, I took that, I smashed it up, and I made like I think it's called a poultice. I might be butchering some of these words, by the way. And I like, slept with that like on the lid, where the lump was. That didn't remove it. I remember putting tea tree oil on it. I had a nurse practitioner literally tell me to like pop it with a needle. At one point, nothing came out. It was so painful. That's when I discovered it was just like a hard mass, like a hard lump. Eventually I was told that because it's a cyst, that's just, something you'll have to see a plastic surgeon for. You're going to have to pay for it. It's not covered. Hearing that was so discouraging because at the time I could not afford that. In my mind, I'm like, that's going to be upwards of like that's going to be like $500 plus. Like that's what one of the specialists had quoted me. And yeah, it just seemed like so daunting, especially when you're in like a tough position financially. So I remember, during this time, I prayed and prayed and prayed to God, like, come on, like, God, like, what can I do to get rid of this? What is the magic cure? I would even pray that it would come to me in my dreams, and it just never came to me. The only thing that, how do I say that? The only thing that was present that whole time was this urge, this like undeniable knowing that I had to get this thing off of my body. So imagine that, you have to get this thing off of your body. Everything in your body is telling you to do it. And like meanwhile, my hormones are getting so messed up. Like I'm gaining weight. My periods are getting like 10 times worse. Like everything, I'm having all these weird symptoms. I'm having crazy migraines. At one point I had lost vision temporarily in, my eyes, like one eye at a time. Like I would wake up and like literally it would just be black. There'd be no vision. So I had all these like crazy symptoms. And I know now that was my body trying to tell me I had to get this thing off of my body. But anyways, so yeah, imagine just like having that, but then knowing that, okay, no one's hearing me, no one's taking this seriously. I'm being told I have to, see a plastic surgeon, pay for this, whatever. And finally, I think it was August of 2022 when I went to see a nurse practitioner, and I cried and I begged for her to just send me to the person who would remove it. And I know she referred me to two different people. She referred me to like an ophthalmologist, and she referred me to a plastic surgeon. And I said, whoever will remove it first, like that's where I'll go, even if I have to pay for it. So literally like September, I got a call from the plastic surgeon, and they said I can come in for a consultation. So I go in for consultation. He's like, yeah, that's a cyst. I can remove that. No problem. By the way, you don't have to pay for this because you were referred. And then I was like, cool. Wish I would have known that way sooner, but awesome. That's great. Saw him in October, removed the lump. I was like high on life. I was like, yes, this is amazing. Oh my God, I have my eyelid back. Awesome. Week later, started growing back, but I ignored it. I was like, cool. We're just gonna pretend this isn't happening. And then it was, soon after that, so he did send the what he thought was a cyst off to pathology, like to a lab, so that they can have a look at it. He said that's just like protocol to, make sure, but he was like positive it was just a cyst. But yeah, I got a call saying that I had an appointment with the like cancer treatment center, hospital, or whatever in Sudbury. Ontario, because I live in Ontario. And I thought that was kind of weird, but I didn't think much of it because I didn't hear back about any results. Like, I wasn't given any follow-up by, even my family doctor. It just sort of was like, oh, here, you have a friggin' appointment over here. And so I was like, okay, like maybe they want to do more, tests or something. So I go into that appointment and find out that it's, cancer. And was just totally caught off guard. And it turns out that it's like, the situation was just so rare, they said, because this is normally a cancer that is found in the breast, like in the gland of a breast, but instead it was found in the gland of my eyelid. So that's like where it originated from. So, I would need to get referred to Toronto, where the big doctors are who could take care of it, because it only responds to, doesn't respond to any treatment. It can only be removed surgically. That's like the only way. Got every, test done, known to man, to make sure that it was only in my eyelid, because I had all those crazy symptoms. So I had just so many different tests done. The whole month of December 2022 was crazy. I literally just was constantly traveling back and forth to the hospital and things like that, for all of these appointments. Anyways, ended up getting my official, big surgery of April the next year, April of 2023. And then, thought I was in the clear, right? They said they got it all. Awesome. So grateful to be past that. I learned so much from that period of my life. I truly can see now how God was working in my life. I started being more spontaneous. I went, on some road trips. I started spending more quality time with my loved ones and family and friends, like people around me. I just started to become more present and more grateful for life, and realizing that work wasn't everything. And what is everything is community and relationships. And anyways, it just kind of shifted my heart into a different direction, which was, again, community, more focused on that and in-person connections and things like that. And it was November-ish of 2023, like later that year, that I started to just feel like maybe they didn't get it all. I started to notice that area of my eyelid starting to change. It was starting to become more red and a bit more puffy than it did. It's like it looked better when, after I got the surgery than it, once it was healed from the surgery. It looked so good, but then I noticed, like I said, in November, it just started to change, and I was like, this is weird. And I did bring it up to my surgeon. He's like, I don't think a biopsy is necessary. Could just be scar tissue, whatever. January 2024. So this year. So this is like, what I'm getting at with my life update and everything. So January, I'm getting ready for the day, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I was like, what the fuck? I see this long ass eyelash on my eyelid, and under that long ass eyelash was a little tiny baby miniature lump. Like, it was so fucking small that it would be so easy to disregard it or, whatever, but I knew what it was. To me, seeing that long eyelash was confirmation that it was back. And that is because the only time I've had these crazy long eyelashes was when I had the tumor. These eyelashes were so long, I had to trim them. They'd grow super weird. And that's exactly what was happening there. And so that's when I started making the calls. I started to become my own advocate again. And eventually was heard, got to see my surgeon in March, right before my 33rd birthday. went in for a biopsy, and yeah, meanwhile, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she was going downhill pretty fast. And so I started devoting a lot of my time to spending time with her and, being there as much as possible, because I knew that her time on this earth plane was coming to an end. And so, April 2nd, she passed. In the comfort of her home, surrounded by so much love. I was able to witness her taking her final breaths. Leading up to her final breaths, I was able to be by her side, along with other family members, of course. It wasn't just me. And it was just, I'm just so grateful she's no longer suffering and no longer in pain. But that obviously was extremely difficult, losing someone that you love so much. My grandma just has always had such a special place in my heart. I love this woman with all that I am. I love her so, so much. And so losing that part of me was extremely difficult. And shortly after that is when I got the news that the biopsy came back positive. Both pieces that he extracted were full of cancer. So that's when he, shared with me I would need a more extensive surgery than the last time. And so, yeah, that was a lot. April was just a complete shit show of grief and loss and heartache and fear. It was just so hard. Yeah, and then, I was asked to write my grandmother's eulogy, which was such a big honor to be able to do that. And I had no idea what I was going to write or how it was going to start or anything like that. And then one morning I just woke up and it was already starting to flow through my mind. That's happened to me so many times where, it's like I'm just kind of coming out of dream state, slowly coming into being awake, and then, it's like I can hear the stream of words coming through me. And so I knew it was my grandmother helping me in that moment. And so I just I opened my eyes and I grabbed my phone and I just start writing it all. And crying, obviously. And then, I was told that they were getting a priest to do the ceremony, if you will, whatever you want to call it, for the celebration of life. And so I kind of thought oh, well, maybe I'm not going to say anything then. But I just kept what I wrote anyways. And then, when I get there, they're saying okay, so you're saying the eulogy, right? And I was like, I am? This wasn't confirmed with me. So I go into the kitchen of the hall and I just start writing everything else. It just, I work very well under pressure when I know that there's a time constraint. So I just finished writing it, and oh, it was so beautiful. And I could feel her there with me, helping me stay calm as I'm sharing these words. And I made sure, or no, I didn't even make sure. There was just such a beautiful organic balance of laughter and tears and laughter and tears. And it was just a really proud moment for me. And of course I'm going to get emotional now. Doing that made me realize I'm on the right path. I don't know if I've shared it on the podcast yet. Some of you may already know, but I've been going through an ordination, so that I could become ordained, so that I could then become a wedding officiant. And so, I'm going to be a Reverend officially this month. And so I'm going to be doing like weddings and baby blessings, which is like a baptismal, and celebrations of life. And I'm just so excited for that part of my life. But it's just, especially because that's what my papa did. My papa did it all through, the Catholic Church, so it's going to be a little bit different, but still, he did weddings, he did baptismals, he did funerals. So I'm going to be kind of like following in his footsteps. So yeah, after her celebration of life, that's when it all kind of hit me that, okay, and now the focus is on this next step with the extensive surgery, having to like get it all removed again. What am I going to look like? And that was a lot because he had shared with me that my eye would be pretty closed up just because of how much he'd need to remove. There's not a lot of skin in that area. I've already had 2 other surgeries in that space. So, of course, the mind kind of goes to the worst. It prepares for the worst. It fears the worst. But I did have my surgery. I had my surgery on May 22nd, and everything went great. And my eye looks incredible. Like, honestly, so I just had my checkup with him yesterday, and I told him, I was like, when I took the patch off, it was kind of underwhelming. Like, why does it look so good? I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Which is such a blessing, but honestly, like where my mind went, obviously, when you're in survival mode, your mind doesn't go to like look at the blessings and what to be grateful for. Your mind goes to like fear and anxiety and like, what if he didn't remove it all? Why does it look so good? I don't understand. I thought my eye was gonna, the eye hole was gonna be so much smaller. But it turns out that it worked out. I don't know. He said there was a huge hole there, like just a massive hole. I don't know if I have very stretchy skin or what, but he somehow magically made it look so good. And yes, like, the eye hole is a lot smaller than, the other eye hole, although a lot of people can't really tell, like, unless you're really looking at it. So, yeah, I feel now I can, feel very blessed and grateful, and I can just sort of trust and let go of the fear and just trust that everything happened as it was meant to. I'm going to trust that he got it all, and just pray for the best moving forward. So yeah, that's your life update. I'm sure there's things that I'm missing, like our washing machine breaking down at the worst possible time, other things in life coming up at the worst possible time. But we got through it. We always do, and it always ends up working out. And you can come back from anything. You can literally come back from anything. Yeah. Anyways, I just maybe felt like someone needed to hear that. But yeah, here I am now. I feel like I am on the other side, but now it's like time to heal my body from what all the stress has done to it. Stress is so hard on the body, and it's something that I have to now work on supporting and healing, and just like loving myself through it, which is so hard if you have body image issues and, you've overcome eating disorders and things like that, which those, and also facial dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, those are all things that I've struggled with and I've been able to overcome and heal from. But, things like this definitely can, cause flare-ups of those things and can trigger those things to come back. So it's so important for me to be loving towards myself and just kind of show myself grace while also, again, supporting myself through healing from this now. So yeah, that's what I'll be working on. And now that I am on the other side of so much of that, I don't have to go see my surgeon again until August, which is so exciting. I feel like I'm like, okay, I can start slowly getting back into things like with my business and, which is why I'm recording this. I've been making some reels over on Instagram. I did a live Facebook demonstration, a live mediumship demonstration over Facebook where I did, readings on the live for the people in my audience. That was so beautiful. I truly love doing those. So if you're not following me over on Facebook, definitely go check that out because I do them every once in a while. I try to do them at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. But yeah, those are free for my community as my way of giving back and also my way of, showing more people the beauty of mediumship and this work that I do. And of course, I love being of service. I love growing my community. So yeah, it's like a win-win-win-win-win. And, there's people who, may not be able to afford to book a private session with me. So, they're able to join this live and possibly hear from their loved one. So yeah, I really, really love doing those. The other thing I want to share before I get into the channeling, which I'm so excited to do, and I can start to feel it, I feel like I'm almost there. I'm almost ready to do that. So for those of you who may be super new to intuition, being intuitive, you're just at the beginning and you're open and wanting to learn more about intuition and being intuitive, listening to your intuition, trusting your intuition, all that stuff. So I actually have a brand new class that I'm going to be hosting on June 19th. And this class is literally me teaching the basics of intuition. That's what it's called, Basics of Intuition. So this inspiration to host this came through to me just the other day, like last week, as I was waking up out of that dream state. The whole thing just flew through me, like, here's how you can be of service. So, I know when this happens, it means there's many of you who are ready and open to learning, who are needing this. So I'm really excited. We're going to go over literally all the key foundational pieces of intuition and being intuitive so that you can, start to develop your relationship with your intuition and start to become more intuitive, because being intuitive is your birthright. Using your intuition will change your life in the most incredible ways. That's like how my life started to change, was by becoming more aware of my intuition, how it's there to support and guide me, how it opens doors for you. It helps present opportunities and blessings into your life, because you're open to being led and guided to those things, right? When you're just noticing the nudges, you're following them, you're paying attention. It helps you become more present and feel more connected to your mind, body, and soul. You can use your intuition in every aspect of your life, making difficult decisions, less difficult. It supports you and guides you through those challenges. It's like when you need an answer, that answer will come to you, versus seeking outward, asking, everyone else and trying so hard to figure it out. This takes that out of it. you can literally just ask the question, be open to receiving it, and then have those answers come to you. There's so much more I can get into. Honestly, it's just, it's going to be so good. 2-hour long class taught live. There's going to be, intuitive exercises in there to really like exercise your senses. And there's going to be time for Q&A. And, the replay is included in your purchase. So even if you can't attend live, you're getting the replay. You get to, go back to it as many times as you want. The other thing I want to mention super quickly is like I have a very grounded, raw, and real way of teaching. It's not going to be super fluffy and, with all these big spiritual words that you can't relate to or understand. It's not going to be anything like that. It's literally going to be so easy for you to take what you're learning and incorporate it into your day-to-day life, So, there we go. I think I've said everything I could possibly say. We are 30 minutes into this. It's time to start the channeling. Okay, so I just set my intentions and I am ready to just take a really nice deep breath now, and I would invite you to do the same with me. Feel free to place a hand over your heart if you'd like to, and close your eyes if you're able to safely do so. Please only do that if you can safely do so. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale slowly. And you can also just state in your mind that you are open to receiving, the messages that are meant for you today. And let your intuition know to support you through, connecting to the messages that are meant for you. And, trust that your intuition is going to support you even after you've listened to these messages to help your own intuitive guidance sort of come in and guide you, with the nudges that you are meant to receive to help you throughout this entire month. Okay, so right away I'm seeing a vision of a slingshot, okay, and someone being in the elastic part of a slingshot, and it's how it's being like stretched backwards. It's being stretched and, you're going backwards. It feels like you're going backwards and it feels uncomfortable. It's stretchy. It's like, ugh, why am I going backwards? Why does it feel like I'm going so many steps backwards? But this is the pull back, and maybe you've heard me talk about this before. This has come through before. It's definitely not the first time, but it's that pull back before the launch forward. Think of how a slingshot works, right? You got to pull it back to gain that strength, momentum, preparation, what it is that you need so that you can then be supported and launched forward. Okay? So you are being prepared. You have been being prepared. This has been quite the year already for many of us. Me included, I really feel like I can already resonate with this. But I feel like, for my listeners, it just feels like maybe this year has been already, really challenging. It's been a lot. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of discomfort. There's been a lot of new and change. And it also feels like things have happened that it wasn't on your bingo card. You were not expecting it. You're just kind of like, what? Maybe some of you have felt kind of blindsided by some of these changes. Seriously unexpected changes, okay? But what you don't realize is so many of these situations that have just truly impacted your life, they are all blessings in disguise. Or maybe some of you realize now that, oh my God, they were a blessing, or they are a blessing. Maybe some of you are not there yet. That's okay. It takes a long time sometimes to be able to receive the full blessing from these situations. For me, personally, just as an example, how, going through the whole cancer situation, the first time and then the second time, whatever, I wasn't able to see the blessings at first. Absolutely not. Fear consumed me, anxiety consumed me, life consumed me. But now that being on the other side, I shared with you in my life update how, wow, just so, how grateful I can be now that I can see how God was working in my life. I am able to see how it grounded me, it humbled me, it brought me closer to my actual path and purpose. It helped me, mend relationships and help me, one of the biggest blessings is I started spending more time with my grandmother. There's just so much good that came out of that. And that's another thing that's coming through is sometimes we don't realize how much good can come from the bad and how God has his hands in all of it and is working through all of us in so many different ways. And we don't realize the ripple effect that these things have in our lives and in the lives of those around us. So let's see where this is going for, again, just the month of June and just like what is going to be most supportive for you to know and to hear at this time. I'm hearing that some of you are being given like a fresh start in some way. Like, I'm just hearing a fresh start. I also keep hearing the word liberty, but I don't understand why. And then I'm hearing like the freedom to choose. I keep hearing liberty and freedom to choose. And then I'm hearing about coming back to love and okay, so this is what's coming through. When it comes to making big decisions, right? Like, remember, you have free will, you have the ability to choose. Like, I feel like these loving reminders are coming in, but also you want to make sure that these decisions that you're making align with your values. Your values are your compass. It is your guide. It is your home. What do you call that? Your home. What? I can't remember what that's called. But home base. There we go. It is your home base. So when you are feeling conflicted, when you are feeling overwhelmed or you're overthinking or you're really not sure, maybe you're being pulled in a few different directions, it's so important to come back to that home base and to make a decision from a grounded space. And what's being planted in my head right now is like the amount of times where I wanted to make these big drastic decisions or changes when I was super emotional, when I was super overwhelmed, right? Like sometimes we want to react. Sometimes we want to like make these decisions from this super emotional place, but that's not the right place to make a decision from. Because that's where we can be deceived by those big emotions, right? Even if those emotions are valid, it's so important to wait, to give it space, and to come back to a grounded, centered space, to come back to that home base that I was talking about. Connect to your values, right? Connect to your values. What are your values? Come back to that. That is where you can make your decision from. Another example that's coming through is how sometimes you know, people get treated a certain way, and then they want to treat that person back the way that they had treated them, right? Sometimes people want to give someone a taste of their own medicine. They want to treat them exactly how they treated them. That's how they'll get back to them. That's how they'll get revenge. But is that actually in alignment with who you are? Is that actually a representation of what's in your heart? Is it aligned with your values? Because that sounds like you would be changing who you are to just reflect back to that person, what they're giving you. But it's not a true representation of you, your heart, or your values. And, not to bring Jesus into this, but something that I live by is to treat others how I want to be treated. No matter how shitty I'm being treated, or whatever the situation is, that's something I live by is, and it doesn't mean I'm fucking perfect with it either, right? None of us are, but I want to treat others how I would want to be treated. And I'm not going to allow someone who's in pain, these are very specific messages, so weird, but someone who's in pain, right? People who do shitty things, people who are, angry and who are mean, whatever, they're in pain. They're in pain, and their pain is spilling outward. How they're feeling on the inside is spilling outward. They are telling on themselves when they behave in that way. And that's not me. I will not claim that for myself. I will not absorb that. I will not become that. So we get to choose and we get to decide for ourselves. And that's like the loving reminder that's coming in. And it feels like for some of you, this is getting cleaned up. All of this is getting cleaned up and cleared out so that you can maybe get more clear on what your values are. So that maybe you can start making some different choices for yourself in your life. Maybe there's things that you're ready to let go of so that you can step more into who you actually are, whoever this next version of you. Like some of you are moving into these new eras of who you are being. But it's like first something's got to get cleaned up, cleared out. There are some new things that are coming into your awareness this month about yourself, about your abilities, your gifts, how you're here to serve. I feel like there's just so much newness around the corner. And today I actually had a message come through. Before recording this, I had a different message coming through, as I was on my way home from driving the kids to school. And it has to do with clearing out your space, cleaning up, decluttering, whatever it is, to welcome in this new energy, this new inspiration, this creativity that's just sort of like waiting there to come in. It's available to you. Well, same goes, so just like that happens in, your physical space, it also happens in your, energetic space, in your internal space as well. Sometimes we got to get decluttered from the inside out so that we can feel clearer and lighter, and we can have a clearer vision of how to move forward, how to step forward. So if you felt, whether it's now or this has been recently, where you kind of felt like you were taking some steps backwards, or it felt like things are going backwards, that's okay. You're still exactly where you need to be. You're still exactly where you're meant to be. And know that you're about to have that sort of launch forward into this new space. But remember, when you're being pulled back like that, you're being prepared. When you're being pulled back, you're being prepared. It means there's more to learn here. There's something else you need to grow through or have awareness of. It's an opportunity. It really is. And it's uncomfortable. Absolutely. But it's not forever. That too, like this too, the space you're in, whatever, it shall pass, just like it always does. The other thing I just heard is if you knew where you were going, you wouldn't end up there. If you knew where you were going, you would not end up there. And I'm literally seeing someone putting the brakes on. They're digging their heels into the dirt as they're being dragged forward. If you knew where you were going, you would not end up there. There's a reason for the season you're in, and there's a reason you are not being given the clear answers or, whatever it is that you feel like you're missing right now. Whatever is feeling unclear, there's a reason for it. And so this is coming through to remind you that you can still take steps forward. You can still move ahead by just simply listening to your intuitive nudges. And maybe it's not nudges, maybe you just have one nudge, right? Maybe you have one piece of guidance or direction. Maybe the nudge has been to start going for walks every day. Maybe the nudge has been to make that phone call or to settle that debt or to go have a conversation with that person. Those nudges are nudges and they matter, they count. And that will lead you to your next one. That will lead you to your next one. Okay, this is a big one. So I just paused and I closed my eyes and just took a moment to, receive whatever these last, final messages are. And I had a vision of someone being caught off guard, but with a beautiful surprise, like an unexpected blessing, possibly like a windfall of blessings, but just this overwhelming feeling of oh my God, what? It's unexpected. It's just I'm at a loss for words right now. But I'm hearing that it's something that you prayed for. Something you prayed for a long time. Maybe even last year. Maybe it was months ago. Maybe it was, years ago. But it's finally coming into your life. It's finally coming to fruition. It's finally here. And it's I don't know how else to describe it. But I feel like you've had to be so patient for this. You've had to be so patient for this. But it's here. So much of what I've already shared is making even more sense now. And, sometimes we gotta go freaking through it to get to the other side. And that's what it feels like. You are being prepared. Well, you're being prepared for some sort of blessings that are coming into your life. And, this is awesome. So there you have it. I truly feel complete in these messages, and I'm sure that as we move through the month of June, I'll have more messages coming through, through the following episodes, because that's just organically what ends up happening is I end up sharing things, throughout the month that are, intuitive and divinely guided. I truly hope that you enjoyed this episode, that you got something from it that you needed to hear, whether it was in my life update or in the channel messages. Feel free to come back to this episode throughout the month in case there are things that didn't really stand out at first, but maybe they're meant for you to hear later. That's always a possibility. And take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because again, maybe some of the things are meant for you now, maybe some of them are meant for later, or maybe some of them are not meant for you at all. But listen to your intuition, as you were hearing the messages. What is it that really stuck to you? What really stood out to you? What did you feel a magnetic pull to? Those are things that are going to support you in understanding that better. And just know that, as I was saying before, your intuition is going to support you even after listening to this episode, with, some of the guidance that came through and all of that. So thank you once again for being here, for listening. I am so grateful for every single one of you. If you are not following me over on Instagram yet, actually on all my social media, including TikTok, I am Hot Mess Medium. So you can find me there. If you enjoyed this episode, would love to hear from you. Let me know. You can DM me over on Instagram. Another thing you can do is actually submit a story that you have that you would like to share. I'm going to be making some episodes where I'm reading your submissions for, stories of divine orchestration, or, when, your intuition saved your life, or experiences with angels and your loved ones in spirit, maybe dreams that you've had or premonitions. Please share in the submission box thing. The link will be in the show notes. You can also submit, topics you would like to discuss, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast, you can also let me know in that same submission space. So yeah, there we have it. I am just like, oh, I'm so glad that I did this, and I'm so happy that you're listening, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!